All right, happy Sunday. Coach Rob coming at you, and I'm using a new way to record this video, so I'm hoping that I get to see, you guys get to see everything that I see, and I'm not sure I can do this. Let me see camera and screen. Here we go. Here we go. Yep, all right. So now we should be in. You should be seeing all kinds of craziness. So if I pull up what I want you to look at here, let's go. It looks like I got me. Bum, 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 bum. You can see this. If I scoop this over here, boom, and then we bring up what I want us to look at, which is a member, a school member community. I'm a member over there, but I'm going to teach you guys super quick how to navigate through something important today, which is right here. We go to our classroom section of the Fit in 28, and this is simple, but it's a resource that I don't think a lot of you looked at, and I don't think a lot of you use. So I'm going to run you through my mindset and putting it in here as a, kind of as a resource, and just also show you that the information that's within this thing it's a little bit of a gold mine, right? So if we click on this No Gym No Problem ebook that I wrote, I think it's been close to 6 or 7 years now that this thing has been finished, and I'm going to tell you that I am not an expert at English. You guys may be reading this, and let me show you that my computer is she's taking a while pulling this thing up, right? Here we go. Okay, I was not prepared for this to take 20 minutes to pull up this thing. There we go, no problem. There's me doing a front lever. Back lever, not a front lever. I wish I could do a front lever. So it's put together pretty basic. The formatting might annoy some of you because it looks like I'm texting in I don't even know, a group chat or something crazy. But it talks about me, you don't need that, shows some before and afters, although I do really like seeing that chunky 31-year-old and the fit 37-year-old. No gym, no problem, blah, 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 blah. But so maybe the most important part that we get down through. If you click, I just watched this video again, it takes about 11 minutes. This first video right here, basic movement philosophy, you could read through this if it geeks you out a little bit. Some of the people I've learned from, some of the people I've studied from afar and actually learned in person. But then what I put through here is a really basic little joint prep, and it's good. I talk about breathing and bracing in this warm up. I talk about some mobility with your wrists and with your shoulders, and I talk about opening your hips up and doing a little bit of up dog, down dog, some yoga type moves. And just I mentioned it in the video, but it is I think you can distill the movements down to about a 6 to 7 minute warm up, even though the video takes about 11 or 12 minutes just to go over some of the stuff. You could probably get 4 to 5 minutes of it in every time before you do some kind of workout. It is not a bad thing to implement into your daily ritual every day. You do it when you wake up in the morning, you do it before you go to bed at night. This is a slightly similar version to the warm-up. These are both good warm-up videos that I filmed and explained in the past. This one goes through a few more different movement patterns. Big things. So then we go to chapter 3 and we talk about the core. And again, we're not looking at sexy exercises. We're not looking at things that look cool on YouTube. We're looking at basic bodyweight movement patterns that if you master and if you get good at, God, it's going to help unlock so many other things, right? And when you look at something as simple as this plank, and I talk about it in the text, but I can just cover each movement here. Maybe this is going to be too long of a video for you guys, but to give you something to look for. What I want you to see is generally straight line. I'm protracting my upper shoulder blades to get kind of more of a gymnastics movements here, and I'm bringing my weight subtly just forward of my wrist, which is putting a lot of stress here, and my core is engaged, and I'm almost acting like I'm trying to actively drag my toes towards here, which I'm not, but it's giving me one hell of a contraction, right? So when we're looking at holding a plank, or we could call this maybe an active plank, the idea isn't to hold a useless support position. It's to put your body in a position that will help you get better. And driving my shoulders slightly forward, locking my elbows out, protracting my upper back there. Nice, good core, strong core position, right? And a side plank, similarly, what we want to look at is if here I'm on my elbow, I prefer to hold them on my hands, but a lot of people have trouble with that. We want to find a generally straight line in this side plank, and as long as we're working this side, we can go from our knees. Do I have options like that? Yeah, I get a little more crazy as we go. We can go from our knees as long as where you're feeling it is this side, right? And we're trying to keep a generally straight line here on our core, right? We could keep playing all kinds of fun. Look how goofy I look there. Boy, I totally shaved for these pictures, right? So that's good. Glute bridges. Here's one of my my athletes. Nikki, we're going to talk about driving your hips up. I think in the warm-up I call them hip extensions. I like using the term hip extensions, lying hip extensions, but people call them glute bridges. That's the name of the exercise. That's what I go for. But explains that. I explained that in that video above. Holding a hollow hold, and this is going to take you through the different steps of what we're looking after, right? And you can't really see in this picture. My shoulder blades are just off the ground, right? I'm not really reaching too far. My lower back is shoved in the ground. I'm flexing. And then what I'm doing here is I'm starting to lower my legs as far as I can, as long as my lumbar here maintains contact with the ground. And this is super important. We don't want this to come up. So you're going to, in this hollow hold, you're going to get these as close to the ground as you can, right? But this has to stay on the ground, right? Or your lower back needs to remain in. This core is engaged. So if this comes up, that's how low you can go, right? Then we can add the arms in a straight overhead position and getting those here clearly shoulder blades off the ground, right? And this is a hollow hold. It's fantastic. Pretty much just your lower back is on the ground. And if we do the flip of it, right? So if we go in the supine position where we're laying face down, it's sort of the same goal, right? You're trying to get everything off the ground that you can right now. And it's essentially like a crunch for your erectors and your lower back. We don't got to get high volume here, but we can work on activating this slowly and coming back down slowly, right? Two really good core movements. Pressing basics. So here we go. So the essential, I think, I don't know, push-ups. Again, not sexy. But if you find someone that can do 15 to 20 push-ups in a row with a 2 count down and a 2 count up, that person is a fairly fit individual, right? I'm showing the form from it here, but it starts with my chest is on the ground, my armpits are engaged, my butt is tight, my legs are tight, my core is tight. I'm going to press, the general straight line is going to come straight up, and then I'm going to go straight back down, right? That's the position. We can take any permutation of this. So this is a very extreme scale right here, what I'm doing from my windowsill, but you notice nothing changes in terms of body position. I like this better than going on your knees, and here's a little more aggressive version, right? And the idea is when I keep my levers long here and I focus on bracing through this range of motion, that's going to make me stronger in the long run than shortening the lever at my knees, right? If need be, we can do the knee push-ups, but I prefer you elevating the surface you're pressing from. It's going to be better and more successful for you, right? The next thing we got here, so now we're getting a little advanced, which is the crow. Taught this on class on Saturday. It's fun, had 20 people trying to do the best version of this. What I need you to know is there can be, I probably should post a video about this movement, but there can be a difference. There's a permutation between here and here where I lean forward and my toes never leave the ground, but I'm still loading this pattern and still getting balance benefits out of it that allow me to literally get the same straining stimulus minus the balance aspect, right? And it's the idea is to build the strength in this position, yeah? So that's good. A wall walk, this is nice. I would say that there are different permutations here where obviously we eventually want to get to where our chest can touch the wall, our butt's tight, our back is straight, not leaned over. But you can stop at any way along. So if I were just to hold this position right here with my feet on the wall and maybe try to press my shoulders towards the wall similar to how they do in a down dog, there's utility in holding that for shoulder strength and stability as well. Here's the end of what we're looking at for this handstand hold and even the end of the wall walk, where your body is forming a very nice straight line, right? Your core is engaged, your shoulders are packed strong, your butt's tight, your thighs are being squeezed together. This is a nice handstand hold. Looks good. I'm talking myself up, right? And it's only, what I kind of want to give the idea of is so many of us, when we're chasing this handstand, we try to kick up to a handstand before we're ready. Steve Atlas, who's a far better hand balancer than I'll ever be, kudos to Steve, uses this with his clients, and I've carried it over from him in that we should be able to hold this position here with this kind of strength, with this kind of confidence, right? We should be able to hold this for 60 seconds, come down, wait 60 seconds, and do that 5 times in a row. Once we can maintain that stability and that strength and that straight line with our belly facing the wall, then we can start kicking up and we have the strength. Well, Steve put it that he knows that the member he's training or the athlete he's training has the requisite strength to be able to kick up and hold it the other direction instead of fighting his strength. And that's kind of what the development there is. Handstand push-up, I think I'm going strict for this one. We're not going to do the kipping guy. So your lower anterior head touches the ground, then you press straight up. Advanced movement pattern, but I'm trying to put a little something in here for everybody, for all different skill levels. What I think you need to notice that I see mistake often, notice how my elbows are pointing back towards me, and if I were to do an aerial view of this, there would be a very definite triangle here between these 3 points. When a lot of people are trying handstand push-ups in the beginning, they'll put their head right in between their hands. That's a really weak position to press from. And it's very difficult to maintain strength and consistency there. So we always want to have this triangle, almost like how we start to do if you've ever done a headstand where you plant, right, to get that balance. That's the same idea what we want for that pressing, right? All right, we're moving right along to the dead hang. Underrated movement right here. And the thing is, you can buy these doorway pull-up things, even if you have no intention of ever doing a pull-up, but I think everybody should have that goal. But even if you don't, you can buy a $20 hanger that goes around the frame. I'm looking at my door right now, around the frame of your door, and you could hang from it every single day. It would be very good for you. Here I'm in what we call a dead hang, so I'm completely relaxed. My shoulder blades are elevated straight up, right? And I am just chilling. The only thing that's really working is my grip. Everything else is chilling out and relaxing, good for my back. Now, if we go to the active hang, if you could pull these two pictures side by side, I probably should have posted them in the book that way. Here, my shoulders are literally, if you imagine me shrugging, they're shrugged as high as possible because I'm hanging dead. Here, I've retracted, or retracted is not the right word, I've packed and pulled them straight down, and now I'm elevated, right? But this is the confusing part, right? I elevate my body by depressing my shoulders, yeah? So we want to think of it like, if here I am shrugged, then here I am anti-shrugging, right? Then we're into the skin the cat. Now this is a much more advanced technique. So we want, if you're not getting 4 to 5 strict pull-ups and you don't have really strong shoulders and flexible shoulders, we want to try this. But those of us that are excited and in better shape want to give this a shot. And there are different permutations. There's a benefit from just going through this motion with support on the ground. There's benefit from tracking it backwards. There's benefit from just hanging upside down like so, and you could even do scap pull-ups from here. It's really fun. But getting all the way around as far through as you can, maintaining this as bulletproof your shoulders, and then that's a German hang. If we come here, you can just let go and drop from there. It's pretty good. But if you have the strength to keep those arms straight, pull yourself back through, hell of an exercise. That's my favorite picture because it's terrible. All right, strict pull-up, right? This is nothing fancy. Hang from the bar, keep your body in this nice hollowed out position we learned on the ground, pull to your chin is clearly above the bar, and then come back down, right? The slower and more controlled you can do this. I don't know why there's a back picture of that, got no idea. Now, we can always regress every movement pattern, right? There's ways we can do this with support from our feet. There's ways we can do this with like our toe on a box. There's ways we could even do this maybe sitting down underneath a barbell that's about an arm length and using our legs to help us do a pull-up. But we can even regress it further so that anyone of almost any physical ability can do a version of this movement right here, which we're going to call a ring row. You can use a TRX to do it. You don't have to use Olympic rings, but these are $30. And it's super simple. Again, I want to keep this rigid straight line in my body, on my core tight, and it's not dissimilar to a push-up. And it's steady and smooth, right? And here's the back lever. So that picture that I'm doing on the, this is kind of an advanced one to throw into, but that picture that I'm doing on the cover of this is a back lever. So we're hanging here. Again, there's got to be shoulder stability that we have here. And there's benefit just from hanging in this position, even if I let my knees, that's where that German hang came from. But here I'm holding a nice tight plank position with my knees tucked. And if I get my legs extended all the way out like on the cover, that's where we're going. Now we move into some stuff that's fun. I got one of my coaches, Amy, showing us some lower body stuff. This is pretty simple stuff here. What I want you to note is in this primal position, so in CrossFit we have 2 different bodyweight squats, we'll call them. The air squat we use to prepare ourselves, we'll see that in a second, for loading our body. The primal squat we're going to use for mainly flexibility. So you'll see how she sits in the bottom of it, and I explained this in the thing, but nice flex spine. This is a rest position. We can use it for mobility. Tons of things can be done from here, like pushing the knees out, grabbing the opposite shin and twisting up to the ceiling, all kinds of good things for mobility. Now the air squat, here's the second one. We're going to use this, and it's different. You're going to notice when Amy pulls down here, she's going to keep her core super tight. So see how we've got this generally straight line here. her core is engaged. She's not dumping her butt into flexion at the bottom like she is up in this position, right? And we're just going till our hips are right below the knee. So she's got another 2 or 3 inches she could drop down if we compare the two photos. We like to put our arms out in front for this to kind of remind us to keep our torso up high. You'll see it's a totally different look than that primal squat. And this is what we're after when we load it, right? I'm showing some options here. If we have difficulty getting into this bottom position, we can use what we kind of call a box squat. So here, this one is a 16-inch box, and it's just above my full range of motion squat. But it's fantastic. I'm still stacking my body. I'm keeping my core tight. I'm bringing my butt down until I touch, then I'm standing up straight. The Cossack squat, we go side to side, and this is great to work on flexibility and strength. You can turn this up on your heel if you don't have the ankle flexibility, shifting side to side. Again, she's looking for similar range of motion, trying to get that hip right below that knee, keeping our chest nice and high. Then we go into the pistols. Here's a single leg squat variations, right? So we've got our leg behind. She's getting down as far as she can. We can put a leg straight out in front, which would be a full out pistol as they call it. And we can also regress this the exact same way. We can squat down to a box and stand up. And depending on the height, it's just good to work unilateral stuff, right? Of course, one of the easiest ways to work a unilateral movement pattern would be a lunge. And what we're after here is 90-90 on both when the knee makes soft contact to the ground. If she was facing I wish I could go back and get pictures here, but if she was facing, what I'd want you to notice is her feet width-wise are about hip width. Some people, when they lunge in, they get really narrow. It's hard to tell if this foot is that way and this foot is this way. But the idea is you still want, if you put two headlights on the front of your hips, you'd want them both still pointing forward when you do your lunge, right? Now into my most fun one, and I think the most underrated one, and ones that no one ever wants to do. Got this from my MoveNat background. Shout out to Erwan McClure, the founder of MoveNat. People call it bear crawling, people call it quadrupedal movement, I don't know, puma crawling, whatever. He calls it a foot hand crawl. That's how I was raised, so that's what I call it. What we're looking for, and even in this picture, we see things that we could be doing wrong, so I don't know when I snap the photo myself. I would like my knees to be a little more forward so they're underneath my hips, right? We're going to keep our shins basically to the ground. We're going to move in a contralateral pattern. You can practice this on your knees. That's how we can regress this movement pattern. But the idea is opposite limbs move together. And you'll see here I've got my left arm and right leg moving. And then it's going to switch when you come into this photo, right? And the idea is as you crawl, to keep your back straight, to keep your knees close to the ground. If you think about keeping your back straight, calm slowly, keeping your knees close to the ground but not on the ground, and you can do this for 2 to 3 minutes at a time, doesn't matter how fast or slow you go, without your knees touching the ground, buddy, it's money. It's a money movement, going forward, going reverse. It will turn uncoordinated humans into athletes. I've seen it happen in my gym hundreds of times. It's a big deal. We get into the crab walk, exercise 22. No different here than like when we did back in gym. Well, I say no different, but we learn it from gym. Everybody can remember this, going forward, going backwards. We're still working on the opposites moving together. What I want you to notice though is how I look like I'm in sort of a seated position. I remember in my gym class, they tried to have us drive our hips up to like you're trying to do this tabletop crawl. No reason for that here. Again, this is a highly nice exercise to work on keeping your shoulder blades up and back, your chest big. If I'm coaching myself now 8, 9 years later, or 6 years later, I'm going to ask myself to kind of sit my chest a little bit bigger and get my shoulders back and back down a little more. It's going to be better for my shoulders. I should probably post a video about that too. So, and that is the crab walk. Now the reverse foot hand crawl is just the foot hand crawl backwards. I just didn't even take a picture, right? And then here we go to the burpee. Much maligned movement pattern by fitness influencers that know more than I do. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't have anything that limits you from doing burpees in terms of you screwed your back up, your shoulders broke or something, burpees are one of the most effective exercises you can train. It's the easiest way to get a cardio workout that involves muscular work as well. It's fast, it's killer, and this is probably one of the safer ways to do it. So you're going to come to basically a complete squat, and as you get your hips down, you're going to place your hands on the ground, kick yourself out into a plank position where you're holding that core. Oh, I don't actually plank. That's crazy. I needed a second video right here that shows me into a plank. Then you lower yourself chest to the ground. Then you jump your feet back into that deep squat position. Then you just, from the ground ideally, you jump straight up in the air, and we wash, rinse, and repeat, right? Cartwheels. There's a terrible demo video here that's pretty tight, People might think you can't do cartwheels, da da da. I'm telling you what, kids, it is a basic gymnastic movement. We can build on it. I teach a nice little progression in this demo video here. And yes, I can do cartwheels on both sides. They're not pretty, but they work, right? Oh, they're showing the progressions for it, right? Boop, 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 boop. So here I did just kind of a, and I talk about that all in the video. I don't know if we can see pictures of that. Then the bonus video at the end of this talks a little bit about a video master course I put together. Again, this is my old basement. This was years ago. Good information in it, but I've got better stuff in the classroom already. So now we come to the end of it and we have the workouts. Most of these things, if you don't know them or they're not in the book, you can look them up. Google. You can shoot me a text in the chat. We can figure this out. But I've got the general warm up in here. It's written down for you. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So this is 20 minutes of a warm up. Again, you can probably cut a lot of that in half. You're breathing and bracing. You can practice that while you're doing it once you learn how to do it, right? But yeah, getting through these movements, of course, you can take this general warm-up and treat it as 20-minute movement session every single day, and it's not going to do anything wrong for you, right? So day 1, we're looking at a little physical fitness test. Very, very simple. Day 2, day 3, all this stuff it's good movement, and it's designed to stack together exactly how I have it written. I believe I got 28 different workouts here. Simple, all body weight stuff. They don't involve any weights. So this for the people that do not have access to a gym, or if you go on vacation, XYZ. I mean, this is absolute money. It's absolute money. I think I'm going to leave it at that. I hope you guys learned a little bit today from this. I hope you realize that the resources that I put together in this, boy, this is like really trippy to look at right now, right? I'm going to go back to my camera only. The resources I put together in the classroom is for your guys. It's for you. It's for you to use as you see fit. If you can think of anything you'd like to see me come up with, I'm always creating stuff. I'm always doing things for clients. So just put a shout out and let me know. I'd like to see you guys start actively putting some workouts that you're doing in our WOD section so we can comment on them. We can create a little chat around it. And also, if you wouldn't mind sharing a few of your goals coming into April in the discussion board, that would be kind of nice, and we can look on holding ourselves accountable to them. But that's it for this. I hope you guys have a nice Sunday. Little 20-minute video for you.